The starship Aquila slowed down as it entered orbit around the alien planet Ithra. Below, the dark blue ocean sparkled beneath 3 moons, and shining cities spread like spiderwebs across the land. Ithra was home to the Giran Empire, one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. On board the ship stood Captain Elias's Rain, a human soldier turned diplomat. He had short black hair, a scar under his left eye, and calm eyes that had seen too much war. He wore a dark Earth Alliance uniform with silver stripes on the shoulder. This was not a war mission. This time, he came in peace. The Earth Alliance had been trying to build trust with the Gyrans after years of tension. The Gyrans were proud, intelligent, and known for their powerful warriors and high technology. They respected strength, discipline, and tradition, and at the top of it all stood their ruler queen, Valara. She was known as the Starlit Queen, with skin that shimmered like silver blue light and eyes like twin stars. Many feared her. Few truly knew her. No human had ever been invited to her court before, till now. Elias stood tall as the shuttle landed near the Royal Sky Tower. The structure rose high above the city, made of glass-like stone that sparkled in the sunlight. Grin guards in golden armor stood at every corner. "Try not to look nervous," said his assistant, a young human woman named Harper. "I'm not nervous," Elias replied with a calm smile. "Just alert." They were guided through the long halls of the palace. Strange music echoed in the air, soft but haunting. Tall alien statues lined the corridors. Architecture felt ancient yet elegant. At last, they reached the throne hall. The room was massive. High ceilings glowed with starlight panels. A long path led to a raised platform, where the queen sat on a throne made of crystal and light. She sat still, her hands folded, her expression unreadable. Elias stepped forward, alone. The Gyran guards on both sides watched silently. The queen's advisors stood to the side, their long robes flowing. Elias bowed deeply. "Captain Elias Rain, of the Earth Alliance," he said clearly. "At your service, Your Majesty." "Queen." Valara tilted her head slightly. Her voice was soft but clear. "You are the one they sent," she said. "The human with a warrior's past and a diplomat's words." "Yes, Your Majesty. I come with the goal of peace." She stood and stepped forward, slowly descending the platform. Her presence was commanding, her movement graceful. She stopped, just a few steps from him, and studied his face. Something in her eyes changed for a brief moment. A flicker, a memory, a feeling. Elias remained calm, but he noticed it. The queen stared at him a little too long. As if something about him was familiar then, her face became cold again. "We do not forget the past, Captain," she said. "We remember what your kind has done, but we also remember bravery when it is real." Elias nodded. "I understand. And I believe the past does not have to be the future." She gave a small nod and turned to her council. "Let the human be received as a guest. We will hear what he has to say." With that, the guards stepped aside, and the tension in the room dropped slightly. As Elias followed the queen's escort to the guest wing, he couldn't help but feel the strange weight of her gaze. Something about the way she looked at him, it wasn't just political, it was personal. That night, Elias stood on the balcony of his quarters, looking out at the glowing city lights. The alien world was beautiful, but distant. Had seen many planets, but this one felt unfamiliar. "Do you think she recognized you?" Harper asked, stepping beside him with a cup of warm tea. Elias frowned slightly. "Recognize me? Why would she?" Harper shrugged. "You did say you saved an alien child during the border wars, didn't you?" "Maybe." He chuckled lightly. "That was over 15 years ago. A rescue mission gone wrong. The ship was on fire. I pulled out a kid. Could barely see her face. Never knew who she was. Well, it would make a good story if she turned out to be a queen." He smiled but shook his head. "It's just coincidence. The child could have been anyone." Far across the palace, Queen Valara stood in her private chambers, facing a mirror made of dark, Crystal, her hands were shaking. Not from fear, from memory. She whispered to herself in the ancient Giran tongue. Then opened a secret chamber behind the mirror. Inside were old relics, things she had kept hidden for years, from a box. She pulled out a broken pendant, burned and scratched, and an old human military patch. Rain, she had kept it. Her mind drifted back in time, back to when she was just a frightened child, trapped under rubble, fire all around her, crying for help. And then he came, a human soldier, bloody and limping, had picked her up and carried her out of the wreckage. He shielded her from falling debris, bled for her. He almost died, but he never asked who she was. He simply said, "You're safe now. I won't let you die." She never saw him again, till today. Now he stood in her court, older, stronger, still kind. Her chest tightened with emotion. He doesn't remember me, but she remembered everything. The next day, Queen Valara invited Elias to walk with her in the Hall of Stars, a peaceful place where past rulers were honored. It was rare for anyone outside her inner circle to be invited there. They walked in silence for a while, past glowing murals and silent statues. At last she spoke. "You have seen war." "Yes," Elias replied. "You have saved lives." He looked at her. "I've tried." She stopped and faced him. "Even those not from your own species?" Elias blinked, then nodded slowly. "Every life is worth saving." Her eyes searched his face, carefully, deeply. "Do you remember every life you saved?" she asked softly. "No," he said truthfully. "But some stay with me forever." Didn't say anything after that. Instead, she turned and walked ahead again. Elias followed, his mind spinning. There was something she wasn't telling him, and something inside him. Deep memory was starting to stir. Captain Elias Rain couldn't sleep. He lay on the soft bed inside his royal guest chamber, staring at the curved ceiling above. The lights were dim. The air was cool. Everything was calm, but his mind was full of questions. Why did the Queen look at me like that? Why did she ask me those questions in the Hall of Stars? Does she know something I don't? There was something familiar in her voice, something strange in her gaze. It wasn't hate. It wasn't fear. It was confusion, maybe, or recognition. He sat up and walked to the window. Outside, the city of Velthor Prime shone under Ithra's moons. The sky was purple, dotted with stars. He folded his arms. A memory flickered in his mind. A small alien child. Fire, screaming. A hand reaching out, and he had grabbed her, held her, carried her out of a burning wreck. He hadn't thought about that mission in years. It was just one of many, the kind of memory that fades over time, but now it was coming back. At the same time, across the palace, Queen Valara stood in her private chamber. A table floated in front of her, glowing with data, displayed military records, images, names, and there his face. Elias Rain, age 42, former soldier, now diplomat. She stared at his photo, the same calm eyes, the same scar. Older now, but still the same man who once saved her. She sat down and closed her eyes. More memories rushed back the fire. The pain, the moment she thought she would die, and then his voice. "I've got you. You're going to be okay." He had shielded her with his body. He didn't know who she was. He didn't care that she was Yiron. He just knew she needed help. She had been only 9 years old. Now she was queen, and he was. "Back?" She whispered to herself. "Does he remember?" The next morning, Elias was invited again to walk with the queen alone. They met in the Garden of Moons, where glowing plants danced in the breeze. The sky above was pale gold. Soft wind moved through the trees. Valara stood near a silver pond, her reflection shining on the surface. She wore a long robe of deep blue and silver. Her crown was smaller today, more like a circlet. Elias walked up to her and bowed slightly. "You honor me again, Your Majesty." She looked at him with softer eyes this time. I wished for quiet conversation, away from the court. The paths curved between tall trees and alien flowers. Birds with crystal wings flew above. I want to ask you something personal, she said. He nodded. You may ask anything. You once served in the human Jiren, border wars, she said. Yes, he replied. Many years ago, I saw things. I wish I hadn't. Did things I had to. Did you ever? Rescue anyone? A child, perhaps? She asked slowly. He stopped walking. Her voice was calm, but there was something behind it. Something deep. He looked at her. There was a mission. A long time ago, a crash site on a moon near Zathra Prime, a civilian ship got hit in the crossfire. We didn't know anyone was alive. And, she asked, her voice almost a whisper. I found a small girl trapped under debris, he said, his voice softer now. She was injured, scared. I carried her out. I thought she was going to die, but I got her out. Then medics arrived. I nodded at it. Sit all on us? The queen stopped walking. Her eyes were wide. Elias blinked. Was that you? Didn't answer at first. She stepped closer. Her voice trembled slightly. I remember fire. I remember being afraid. I remember your voice. You said I would be okay. You didn't know I was the daughter of a Jiran noble? You just saved me. Elias stared at her. You were that girl? She nodded slowly. Yes, I never forgot. I still have the patch that tore from your uniform. Elias felt like the wind had been knocked out of him. He never expected this. Never imagined that the child he had saved would grow into the queen of an alien empire. I didn't recognize you, said honestly. You were so young, I never knew who you were. And I never forgot you, she replied. They stood. There in silence, two people from different worlds, joined by a moment long ago. Finally, Elias spoke. Why didn't you say something earlier? Because it's dangerous, she said. My people don't trust humans. If they knew their queen was saved by one, it could be seen as weakness, or worse. Treason, I understand, Elias said. But I'm glad you told me. Velara looked at him carefully. Do you? Forgive me? For not saying anything? Nothing to forgive, he said. You've grown into a strong ruler. I'm proud of you. Her eyes shimmered for a moment, but she looked away quickly. Later that day, trouble began to grow. Lord Threx, Garen General, watched the queen closely. During council meetings, he noticed her sudden interest in the human diplomat, her gentle words, her changed tone. He didn't like it. This human must be influencing her, he whispered to an ally. She's acting different. You must be careful. The other replied, if she is emotionally tied to him, the humans might gain power here. Threx narrowed his eyes. I will find out the truth. That night, the queen received a message and invitation from Elias. It was not formal. It's just a quiet request to meet again. They met in a hidden corner of the palace garden. No guards, no eyes. I didn't want to leave without saying thank you, Elias said. I should be thanking you, she replied. He smiled. Back then I didn't see a future queen. I just saw someone who needed help. And I didn't see a soldier, she said. I saw someone brave, someone kind. Their eyes met. For a long moment neither spoke. Elias stepped back. I should go. I have duties back on Earth. You are welcome here, she said. Always, he bowed. Your Majesty. But before he turned, she spoke again. My name is Velara, she said softly. Not just queen. Not to you. He paused, then nodded. And I'm just Elias. As he walked away. Her hand touched the crystal pendant around her neck. the same one he had once given her during that fire. "Long ago," she whispered, "you remembered, even if you didn't know." But as the queen returned to her chambers, she didn't know she was being followed. Lord Threx, hidden in the shadows, had seen everything. He now knew the truth, and he would not allow a human to hold power over the Queen of Ithra. Queen Valara stood by the wide window of her private chamber. Below her, the capital city of Velthor Prime shimmered under the pale glow of the 3 moons. Yet, the beauty of the night could not calm the storm inside her. Her heart was still. Heavy from the meeting with Elias Rain, he had once been a stranger, a human soldier on a battlefield. Now he had returned as a diplomat, unknowingly walking back into her life, and when he finally remembered the girl he saved, everything inside her shifted. She had never told anyone. That moment from her childhood, when the fires burned and a strong human arm lifted her out of darkness, had shaped her entire life. That memory had made her fight harder, train longer, and become stronger. She had wanted to be a queen that man could be proud of, a leader who protected others the way he had protected her, and now he was here. But it wasn't just a reunion. It was dangerous, political, because someone was watching. Lord Threx, the High General of Gyran forces, had returned to his chambers with rage boiling in his chest. He had seen the Queen and the human Alan talking softly. He had heard whispers of her past, of a rescuer, and now he knew the truth. The Queen was once saved by a human. She cares for him. He clenched his fists. This will destroy everything. The Gyran Empire had always been proud and powerful. They had lost warriors to humans in the past, and many still held old anger in their hearts. For the Queen to show affection, even respect, for a human, was a danger to the throne. He sent a secret message to a group of loyal nobles. The message was clear. The Queen's judgment is compromised. We must act before it's too late. Next morning, Elias stood near his ship, preparing to leave. His meeting with Valara had touched something deep in his soul. He hadn't realized how much that one rescue long ago had mattered. Now, it mattered more than ever. Harper, his assistant, looked at him. "Are you okay?" Elias nodded slowly. "I thought I came here for peace talks. I didn't know I'd meet someone from my past, someone I saved, who turned into a queen." Harper smiled. "She clearly trusts you." "She does," Elias said. "But it might cost her." Just then, a royal messenger approached quickly. The soldier bowed. "Captain." "Rain, Her Majesty requests your presence immediately." Elias looked surprised, but followed without delay. Inside the Hall of Memories, Queen Valara waited alone. When Elias entered, she turned, her eyes full of urgency. "There isn't much time," she said. Elias stepped forward. "What happened?" "Threx knows," she said quietly. "He saw us. He's spreading whispers in the court that I'm under human control, that I've lost my mind." Elias frowned. "Is that why you called me?" "No," she said. "I called you because I trust you, and because there's something I haven't shown anyone." She led him to a sealed door behind the hall. Guards stepped aside. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a quiet chamber filled with personal items, artifacts, memories. She walked to a glass case and opened it. Inside was a burned military patch with the name Rain still visible. Elias stared at it. "You kept this?" She nodded. "It was torn from your uniform when you carried me. I held on to it for all these years." Elias took a slow breath. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," she said softly. "You saved my life, and that changed everything. It's not just for me, but for the future of this empire." He looked at her, really looked. "You've become an amazing leader, Valara." She smiled gently. "Because I learned from the best." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The bond between them was no longer hidden, but danger was close. Outside the chamber, Threx moved quickly through the palace. He had brought armed guards loyal to him. The queen had lost her way, he told them. The throne needed to be saved. His plan was simple: arrest the human and force the queen to step down. The council would obey him once the queen appeared weak. He stormed toward the Hall of Memories inside. Elias and Valara turned as a loud alarm rang out. The guards outside shouted. One rushed in. "My queen, armed forces approach. Threx has declared an emergency. He says the throne is at risk." Valara's eyes turned sharp. "He moves faster than I thought." Elias looked at her. "Need to go now." She nodded. "Shh. There's a secret exit through the gardens. Come." They ran together through hidden tunnels. The queen, still holding the old patch in one hand, as they reached the outer edge of the palace. They saw Threx's soldiers flooding the corridors. Elias stopped. "You go. I'll hold them off." Valara grabbed his arm. "No. I lost you once. I won't leave you behind again." Elias met her eyes. They moved together, dodging patrols, until they reached the moonlit garden, where her most loyal guards waited in silence. "Protect the queen," Elias shouted. The loyal guards formed a wall between them and Threx's men. Blasters charged. Weapons rose, and then chaos. A battle broke out in the garden. Threx shouted orders. "Seize the human. Do not harm the queen yet." Elias fought beside the queen's guards, moving like a soldier once more. Even without high-tech weapons, he was fast, skilled, and brave. Valara herself fought too, wielding a glowing blade, passed down through her royal line. Together, they held the line. But they were outnumbered. Suddenly, a blast hit near Elias. He was thrown backward, landing hard against a stone pillar. Valara turned and screamed. Elias struggled to stand, blood running from his forehead. "I'm fine." Threx stepped forward, aiming a plasma spear. "It's over, human," he growled. "You've poisoned her mind long enough." Valara stepped in front of Elias, her eyes blazing. "You will not touch him," she said. "He is the enemy." Threx shouted. "He is my protector," she replied. "He saved me when I was a child, and he saved me again today." The garden went silent. Guards both loyal and confused lowered their weapons slightly. Threx's eyes widened. "What are you saying?" "I am saying the truth," Valara said. "Captain Elias Rain saved my life long ago. I owe him my life and my throne." She turned to the guards. "He is not a threat. He is a hero." There was silence. Then slowly, the loyal guards raised their weapons toward Threx. The tide had turned. Threx took a step back. "You would betray your own people for a human." He spat. "No," she said. "I protect my people. But I also protect truth, and truth stands with him." Threx tried to escape, but the guards captured him. Hours later, peace returned to the palace. Threx was arrested, and his plans were exposed. The council, shocked by the truth, agreed to support the queen's decision. But something had changed forever. The queen's past was no longer a secret, and the human who once saved her, life had now saved her again. In a quiet balcony above the city, Elias and Valara stood side by side. The stars above them were bright and endless. "You didn't have to protect me," Elias said softly. "But I wanted to," she replied. "You did it for me. Twice." He looked at her with a small smile. "What happens now?" "That depends," she said. "Will you return to Earth?" He looked out at the stars. "Not yet. There's something worth staying for." She smiled, gently placing the old patch back in his hand. "And there's someone worth staying with," she whispered. The sun dipped low behind the mountains of Ithra, casting long shadows across the royal palace. The air was tense, almost electric. Queen Valara sat on her throne, her silver-blue eyes scanning the gathered council. They were her closest advisors, the strongest nobles and the leaders of the Giran military. Yet today, their faces were cold and filled with doubt. At the center of their concern was one name: Captain Elias Rain. The news had spread through the palace like wildfire. The queen's secret bond with the human diplomat was no longer hidden. Whispers grew into accusations. Many saw it as a betrayal. Lord Threx's arrest had only strengthened the divide. Some nobles called for harsher action, imprison Elias, or even worse, demand the queen step down. Valara felt the weight of the Empire on her shoulders, heavier than ever before. She stood and addressed the council. "My friends," she began, her voice steady but filled with passion. "Captain Elias Rain saved my life when I was a child. He saved me again when he defended this palace. He has shown loyalty, courage, and honor." Murmurs of surprise and disbelief filled the room. But one noble spoke up. "He is human. Ow. Our history with humans is full of blood and war. How can we trust him now?" Valara looked around. "Because I know his heart. Because I saw what he did. Because I believe in a future where humans and Gyrans stand together." Another council member scowled. "You risk everything on this belief? Our enemies watch. Our people doubt." "I risk everything to protect truth," Valara said firmly. "The truth is that without Elias, I might not be alive today. Without his help, the coup would have succeeded." The room fell silent. Meanwhile, in a quiet chamber beneath the palace, Elias prepared for what might come next. He knew staying on Ithra was dangerous, not just for him, but for the queen. But he also knew he could not leave her alone to face her enemies. He checked his equipment, weapons set aside, his diplomatic badge clear. He was not here to fight, but to stand beside her. The palace door opened softly. Valara entered. She looked tired but determined. "Elias," she said, "will you stand with me? Not as a guest, but as an ally." He smiled, tired but sincere. "Always." They shared a quiet moment. Days passed and tensions grew. Threx's followers gathered in secret, planning to strike again. They believed the queen was weak, that a human's influence was a threat to the empire. Valara and Elias worked together to strengthen alliances. They reached out to loyal nobles, military commanders, and even some humans willing to support peace. One evening, as the moons rose high, Valara and Elias walked through the Garden of the Ancients. It's a sacred place filled with towering trees and glowing flowers. "I don't want war," Valara said softly. "But if it comes, I will fight." Elias took her hand gently. "You won't fight alone." She looked at him with gratitude. "You risk everything for me." "Because you saved me too," he replied. "You showed me that even in darkness there is hope." Then the night came. Threx and his followers launched a surprise attack on the palace. Explosions shook the walls. Alarms blared. Valara was quick to act. She donned her battle armor, a shining suit crafted for both protection and ceremony. Elias stood beside her, ready. They moved through the corridors, rallying guards and civilians alike. In the throne room, two sides clashed. Threx's soldiers were fierce, but Valara's loyalists fought harder. Inspired by their queen's courage, Elias fought with skill and bravery, protecting Valara from danger. At a critical moment, Threx lunged at the queen with a plasma blade. Elias threw himself in front of her. Blocking the strike, the blade grazed his shoulder, burning through the armor. Pain shot through him. But he stood firm. Valara's eyes blazed with fury. With a swift strike of her blade, she disarmed Threx. The general fell to his knees. After the battle, the palace was quiet again. The coup had failed. The council met once more. This time, the nobles spoke with new respect. Valara had proven her strength not just as a ruler, but as a leader willing to protect her people, no matter the cost. Elias sat beside her, wounded but proud. The queen stood and addressed her people. "Today, we faced darkness and survived, together, because we believe in truth, because we believe in each other." Her voice echoed through the hall. She turned to Elias. "Captain Rain is not only my savior, but a symbol of hope for our future." The room erupted in applause. For the first time, humans were honored in the Giran Empire as true allies. Later, in the quiet of the royal gardens, Valara and Elias sat beneath the glowing moons. She looked at him, her eyes soft. "You changed my world," she whispered. He smiled. "You changed mine." They didn't need words. Two beings from different worlds, bound by courage, honor, and a shared future. The halls of the Ziran Palace buzzed with anticipation. It was the day of the great assembly, a rare gathering of all the empire's leaders, nobles, and diplomats from distant worlds. The event was meant to celebrate peace and strength, but this time, Queen Valara had something more important to say. For years, the galaxy had viewed humans as unpredictable and dangerous. Many feared their growing power. Some saw them as enemies. But today, the Queen planned to change that. Elias stood quietly beside her as she walked to the center of the grand hall. The crowd was vast, thousands of eyes watching. Cameras floated in the air, ready to broadcast. Valara's silver-blue gaze swept the room. Then, with a steady voice, she began, "Leaders of the Gyran Empire. Honored guests from all corners of the galaxy today, I share a truth that has shaped my life and my reign." She paused. "I was once a child, lost and alone on a battlefield. The flames of war surrounded me. Death was near." She looked directly at Elias, "But a human saved me." A ripple of surprise spread through the crowd. "The human's name is Captain Elias Rain. He carried me from the fire when no one else could." She lifted a small, worn patch, the same one Elias had once worn on his uniform. "This patch is more than cloth. It is a symbol of courage, kindness, and the bond between our species." She turned to Elias and smiled. "Captain Rain is not just a guest in our empire. He is a hero." The room fell silent for a moment, then burst into applause. Many of the nobles whispered in awe. For the first time, human was honored openly in Gyran history. After the assembly, palace gardens were filled with celebration. Valara and Elias walked beneath the glowing trees, the air sweet with alien flowers. "Did you ever imagine this?" Elias asked, shaking his head in wonder. "No," Valara laughed softly, "but I believe in truth and in people." He looked at her. "You made the right choice. Your people respect you." She took his hand. "And you," she said, "have become more than a savior. You are a friend, an ally." They stopped under the largest tree in the garden, a great silver oak that shimmered in the moonlight. Valara leaned her head on Elias's shoulder. "For the first time, I feel hope for our worlds." Elias smiled, pulling her close. "Together," he said, "we can build a future where no one is an enemy." Days passed, and peace began to grow. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges started. Soldiers trained side by side. The story of Elias and Valara became a symbol, a reminder that courage and kindness could unite even the most distant worlds. And in the quiet moments, away from the court and politics, the Queen and the human shared their stories, their dreams, and their lives. One evening, as the twin moons rose high, Valara stood on her balcony, watching the stars. Elias joined her silently. She smiled. "Do you think the universe remembers every life we save?" she asked softly. He looked at her eyes full of warmth. "I think it does. And I think it remembers moments like ours, the moments that change everything." They stood together, two souls from different galaxies, united by fate and choice. And beneath the endless sky, they knew this was only the beginning.